The Blast from Our Past Network.
Hey everybody, it's me, Corey.
And Zach.
We wanted to tell you all about our exclusive Patreon tier called A Tour de Force, where each season we go through a different auteur's complete filmography in order from beginning to end.
If you sign up now for just $5 a month, you unlock our complete back catalog for John Carpenter, Don Coscarelli, and William Lustig. That's over 50 episodes.
And we are currently going through Larry Cohen's filmography, so you'll get all those episodes as well.
Thank you to everyone that supports Podcasting After Dark on Patreon.
You keep the show going. And as always,
we'll catch you on the dark side.
Lock your doors, close your windows, turn out your lights, for chills and thrills await you. It's time for Podcasting After Dark with your hosts, Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer. Stay with a friend, say your prayers as grisly ghouls close in to seal your doom. Tonight's episode, Skin Deep, starring John Ritter, Vincent Gardenia, and Allison Reed.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Podcasting After Dark, the #1 cult movie podcast on the internet. I'm one half of the pad team proper, Corey, a.k.a. Sleazy C. Joined with me, as always, my brother, my 50-year-old brother from another mother, Zach the Total Snackage Schaefer.
I'm feeling it, especially after my electrode therapy that I got after watching this movie.
Oh my God, I can't wait to talk about that. And yes, guys and gals, we are talking about 1989 Blake Edwards' Skin Deep, a movie that Zach and I have wanted to cover on the show for a while, but we absolutely did not want to do a full breakdown of this movie. I think that would be preposterous and take forever. Now that we have our general discussion format, I think Zach and I both decided to fast track this film. But yeah, buddy, what's your experience with Skin Deep?
I remember seeing Skin Deep not in the theater, but on VHS. I was 13, 12, going on 13 at the time. Maybe I was 13 going on 14. I don't know. All I know is I saw it when I was a teenager. I know then why I was into it.
Of course, yes.
Oh, because originally the poster that, like, if you go to IMDb and look at the theatrical poster, that's not the image I saw. I saw the one where he's, like, you know, being lifted up by all the different women.
Oh yeah, the theatrical poster is him, like, he's kind of tiny in between a lady's brassiere, holding onto the bra. It's a really cool picture. But yeah, in the Blu-ray cover is the one where he's being held up by all the women in the movie. By he, we mean John Ritter.
John Ritter, yeah. And I saw that, and I'm like, oh, I want to see this movie because, like, look, Chelsea Field was in this, and at the time, He-Man had just come out a couple years prior, and I was super into her as Teela. And also, too, is like, you know, for the teenage mind that I was in at the time, I was like, oh, look at all these babes. I want to watch this movie with babes. And John Ritter, and I love John Ritter, so that's why I wanted to see it. That's my connection with it.
Yeah, Myra and I didn't discover this until COVID.
Interesting.
It's so funny because as much as John Ritter was such a part of my life as a kid, I was an avid Three's Company watcher.
Same.
I absolutely adored him. But if you go back and listen to our TV Obscura episode where we talk about Hooperman, I didn't know Hooperman existed. I didn't know this movie existed. For some reason, John Ritter outside of Three's Company kind of disappeared to me, even though I would watch Three's Company on syndication all the time until I got older. Anytime it popped up, I would watch it, and I love that show with all of my heart, and I've always loved John Ritter. And then all of a sudden, like, he was in Bad Santa, and I was like, oh yeah, John Ritter, like, I kind of forgot about you. But you know, he was always working, he was always doing other things. So I mean, I'm sure I texted you, man, when Myra and I watched this, and I just was like, oh my God, I fucking loved it. Probably a lot to do with the Ivan Neville song, Falling Out of Love. I immediately fell in love with that song, added it to my 80s Grady's playlist. But it's funny because your description of watching this movie and everything is kind of my description of watching the other Blake Edwards film, Switch. I think I was about 13 when that came out. Was it Jimmy Smits is in that? Was it Helen Barkin is in that?
Ellen Barkin, Perry King. Yeah. Another Blake Edwards movie.
Another Blake Edwards movie. He wrote and directed it. And it was so weird because I think I was like 12 or 13 or something, like maybe around 14 or something when I saw that. And it's definitely a mature film, but I really, really loved it for some reason as a kid. I was like kind of into it, but also I think it was one of those feelings like I kind of was feeling like, hey, I'm at a point in my life where I can maybe start understanding some of these older movies, like meant for older audiences. And I'm an adult now, even though I was, and Zach, am I really even, now?
None of us are.
None of us are. But yeah, man. So that was kind of like, that's my connection to Skin Deep. I fell in love with it right away when I saw it. I bought the Blu-ray. I've wanted us to cover it on the show for a while. Watching it now, obviously it's of its time, and a lot of the concepts and the way people and women are treated is not kosher in 2026. Hell, it wasn't kosher in 1989, but we all sort of accepted it.
Well, yeah, and I will backtrack a little bit too. Like as you are a huge John Ritter fan, Three's Company ran from 76 to 84. It had a really long run for a television series, a sitcom. And, but he was doing other things during that time that led me to really connect with him and like him and love him as an actor. He did a movie called Hero at Large that came out in 1980, which made me like idealize him as like a lovable, just like, father figure kind of person. Like I want that guy as my dad, the struggling actor who becomes a superhero. Next thing you know, he starts saving lives. I don't know. I always connected with John Ritter, and he always just seemed so likable. So when Skin Deep, I saw the trailer for Skin Deep. I knew who Blake Edwards was. I had seen Switch. I had seen clips of 10, probably at a way too young of an age.
Right.
I was familiar with like his Pink Panther stuff, and I know we'll talk about all that in a minute, but I was like, oh, this is Blake Edwards. He's a comedy guy. Oh, this has got babes that I got a crush on. And oh, it's got John Ritter, one of my probably favorite actors at that time. He was in Real Men with Jim Belushi, who we've both talked about, and we will cover that on $2 Late Fee down the road. I love that movie, and I love him in it.
Yeah.
And he's played a level of diverse characters, but always kind of going back to that John Ritter type character, that Jack Tripper type character.
Well, because John Ritter was sort of known for his physical pratfalls, right? Like his physical comedy. I mean, and I'm thinking even in Skin Deep at the end when the tsunami hits and he kind of gets flung into their beach house. That is John Ritter sliding across the floor because of the water wave and hitting the wall rather hard. And he's kind of known for almost how like Chevy Chase was on SNL, like falling and everything. John Ritter's was kind of known for that back in the day, wasn't he?
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. He was always really silly with his body, which made him so funny, but he's also a really good actor too. Like he could be really endearing and like very earnest. And there was that level of quality I really connected with. It just felt really genuine. So I think when the movie came out, I wanted to see it because it was like, oh, it was a John Ritter movie. I think that was probably trying to like circle back mentally where I was at. I'm like, oh, it's going to be a John Ritter movie. And it's a side of John Ritter that I don't necessarily like. Like in 2026, watching this movie now, we'll obviously get into it, but I'm like, this is not the character I really liked. That being said, like he can play, he's so good because that's what you want. I don't think you're really supposed to like this guy ultimately.
Right. Yeah, I know. It is one of those movies where you're questioning whether, is our protagonist, he's also our antagonist as well, because it's really just about, and his demons and everything. But I do want to roll back what you were saying about how all the different things that John Ritter can do, from physical comedy to really good acting. And I'm watching this movie, and I do think one thing this Skin Deep does well is highlight all the different facets of John Ritter. You have the physical comedy, the electrotherapy, scene. You have his emotional scene where he's talking to the bartender Barney about like how much he loves women truly, and he's like getting teary-eyed, and he's like really giving it his all. And I do think that this movie is a fantastic showcase and a highlight of all the different facets of John Ritter and what he can do. And this movie, tonally, it shifts a lot, but at the center of it is John Ritter being likable, even if the character of Zach Hutton is not necessarily, I don't know if he was even really supposed to be likable. Myra watched it with me. She did enjoy it. I don't know if she, loved it as much as I did, but it's also like, it's so very much from a point of view of a guy. And like, there's this one scene where he's talking to his ex-wife about how he always envisioned her like rescuing him and all this kind of stuff. And Myra's like groaning. And it's like, yeah, as a kid, I would have been like, yeah, rescuing him. But as an adult, I get that. It's like, it basically just makes the woman like this object, and she has no agency over her own life, even though like his ex-wife does say like, yeah, I'm not going to rescue you, dude. Like, so it tries to, but it does give you this perspective from his point of view where women are just there to try to make him to be a better man, although he does sort of fix himself in the end.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know Blake Edwards' backstory that far deep, but I can tell based on this movie, he doesn't have a very wide, he didn't have a very wide range of feelings about women. He saw them from one perspective, and
right.
It really doesn't change at the end because she just ends up going back to him anyways, and you're like, most likely he's going to do the same shit because that's kind of how dudes are. They don't evolve that much. I will say really quickly, John Ritter in Sling Blade, if y'all have never seen him in that, he's tremendously awesome. That film in general is amazing, but he plays a gay man in a small southern town, and it's so against type. And that's where you go, yeah, this dude can act. Yeah. Blake Edwards, I don't think he objectifies women. Look at his movies. Look at his movie.
Look at 10. For God's sake,
10. Like you said, Switch. We'll run down a little bit of his filmography, but it's always like this kind of guy who, it's like Hal Needham makes action movies, right? Funny comedy action movies. Cannonball Run, Smokey and the Bandit, Megaforce. Blake Edwards makes sex comedies about men. Guys that in today's day and age, well, I mean, these guys are movie producers now, right? This is who this is. Like, I know you and I both, we met enough of these kind of movie producer types. That's who they are. These guys who have an insane amount of money, who have wives 35, 40 years younger than them.
Corey their fifth wife, you know?
Corey and I were literally just at an event, and this dude I won't say who it is, but the guy's 76 years old or 77. His wife is 42. That's disgusting. And it's his fifth wife. And I'm like, come on. This is the character in the movie, where he's like, I just want to settle down with a middle-aged woman who, can help me get my act together. Oh my God, that's the problem with all this shit. Anyways, there's a lot of comedy, and we'll get to that. And I think this is going to make this episode even more entertaining. But you did mention Ivan Neville as far as Falling Out of Love. That's off an album called If My Ancestors Could See Me Now. It came out, I believe, in 88. And it's got another song on there called Not Just Another Girl that was used in the Rich Girl movie that starred Jill Sholin that I absolutely love, and I've talked about it a lot on $2 Lately. It was also in the movie there's a cover of that in the Rich Girl movie. They don't have the Ivan Neville version. The Ivan Neville version of that song, which is just as good as this one, but it's more fast-paced, is in the movie My Stepmom is an Alien with Dan Aykroyd. Kirsty. No, was it Kirsty Brinkley? No. Batman, 1989's Batman, right? Damn it. God. All right, guys, someone's driving off the road right now. 9.5 weeks. Hold on. Kim Basinger.
Yes,
I didn't have to look that up. It just came to me. Yeah. The whole album's really good, by the way. If you like this song, that song you'll love because it's on the same par. It's just more fast paced, and the whole album is really good. When people think of the Neville brothers, they think of like Aaron Neville, they don't necessarily think of Ivan Neville. Ivan sounds like sounds like a Russian guy, not a black guy. Yeah. And so, Aaron Neville, man, whatever, like the high pitch, the look, the feel of cotton. This is not, and he's so different. Actually, the soundtrack to this movie is pretty wild. There's some other big hits on this as well, and we'll get to that later.
And I like how most of the movie's framed by this song, "Falling Out of Love."
It's the signature song.
It is, and they even they'll break it up and sort of rearrange the melody and the tune inside of the movie itself. I do want to roll back to Blake Edwards, but while we're talking about composers, there is a pretty big name composer on this film.
Yeah, Henry Mancini, who actually worked with Blake Edwards quite a bit, dating back to his Pink Panther days. And, Henry Mancini collaborated, I think, often with Blake. And Blake Edwards wrote and directed this movie. Blake Edwards actually has been around for a really long time. His career started in like 1942. So, another one he did in the 80s was Blind Date. That's another kind of like
the one with Bruce Willis. Yeah.
Kim Basinger, I think, is in that too.
Exactly. I think that came out in 1987. I was 9 years old. I wouldn't be surprised if I watched it with my dad around that time, but I have like no recollection of it. But I do remember the VHS cover where like Bruce Willis kind of like looks all disheveled, on it. But real quick, what's the like the premise behind that movie
for Blind Date?
Yeah.
So Blind Date. It's funny because I was just covering. I covered Mystery Date earlier this year.
Right, yeah.
And was talking about that movie Blind Date because there's two different Blind Dates. I think there's like a more of a TV thriller one that's pretty creepy. But it's basically Bruce Willis is like a pressured, has a stressful job, and then he goes out with Kim Basinger, who ends up kind of giving him a crazy night.
Is she like a free spirit type of person?
Yeah,
and
antics ensue. From what I can remember, I could be wrong, but it involves drinking. A lot of Blake Edwards movies involve drinking.
Well, I mean, after I finished watching the movie last night for like my notes and everything, I was like, I need to pour myself a little whiskey or something. It's just like, man, he's drinking throughout the entire film, and there's definitely a theme because and I know he didn't do is it Dudley with Dudley Moore? No, what the hell is that movie?
Arthur? No.
Arthur, yeah. But
he did 10 with Arthur.
It kind of gives me shades of Arthur. But yeah, I mean, Blake Edwards wrote and directed 10. It's famous for Bo Derek scene and everything like that. But yeah, all of his characters always seem to be sort of have these like, they're kind of broken and everything. At least the movies, I know Pink Panther's not necessarily quite like that, but I think the movies that Blake Edwards kind of writes and directs are the ones that I have a feeling are a bit close to home for him. And I have a feeling that Zach Hutton is probably an allegory for Blake Edwards.
Yeah, he was married to Julie Andrews.
An analog for Blake Edwards.
I agree with you. And I think, by the way, he was married to Julie Andrews, from Sound of Music.
Yeah.
And I think originally, and you mentioned Dudley Moore, he wanted this to kind of be the sequel to 10, but Dudley Moore decided not to. And I think he might've been filming the second Arthur movie at the time. So this created a rift in their relationship. And then Blake Edwards rewrote the whole script basically to cater to a different, style, which made obviously, this one. Made this movie.
Can I say I was never the biggest Dudley Moore fan. I never kind of went out of my way to see any of his movies. It just, I don't know, man. Something about him never connected with me.
Well, you know how we often say we don't like the way kids look today in movies, or everyone's too perfect, right?
Yeah.
What the body looked like, what the physical body back in the day, a quote unquote buff guy, what that looked like then versus what a buff guy looks like now. Same with women, women have always been objectified, but it's a different idea. Like, this is not that's not a look that I was a big fan of.
Yeah.
Like, oh, when you and I often say, I wish we could go back to this or go back to that. This is not something I wish we could go back to. Though I will say the man body that John Ritter exhibits, he's in great shape, but what that would look like now, most people in 2026 would look at that and go, oh God, he's not in shape. But he actually is.
I know. And he would be waxed right now. He's all hairy and everything.
Yeah, because they do that in 40-year-old virgin. Oh, you got to wax that, Yeah, he's not that hairy. He doesn't have back hair. He's just got the chest hair.
Oh, man.
And a beard.
Yeah. But yeah, Blake Edwards obviously is a big name. He passed away in 2010, but he's also done like a lot of stage and all this kind of stuff. So, this is, and I don't know if this is technically one of his more successful films, although it had a budget of like $8 million and it made like 44, worldwide. So, I'm sure they consider it fine, but it wasn't like a critic darling or anything like that.
I think it was because of John Ritter, though. I don't necessarily know about Blake Edwards.
I don't know if I would have loved this movie as much as I do if it was anyone else besides John Ritter. I mean, I can tell you right now, Dudley Moore, I wouldn't have even watched it. So it's all John Ritter for me. And honestly, it's a lot of the supporting female cast members as well.
So Switch came out after this movie, by the way. But a lot
was it
of
90, 91, something
91,
like that?
yeah. And he did, he did The Man Who Loved Women. He wrote this. He directed that one with Burt Reynolds, like Victor Victoria, a gender swapping movie. I just think about like the movies that he did. A Fine Mess. I remember that being like a staple on HBO with Ted Danson and oh God, what's his face from Howie Mandel. Sorry, Howie Mandel.
Good old Howie Mandel.
Mickey and Maude with Dudley Moore, and he's got two wives in that. That's a whole, thing. I know Andre the Giant was in that movie. He did a couple of those Panther movies in the 80s. SOB, Son of a Bitch. He actually did like five or six of the Panther movies, which is
he wrote them. Yeah, I think he pretty much wrote all of them.
He directed them.
He directed them as well. Okay.
Yeah, and it's weird. He's listed as he directed The Party. The Party I bring up a lot because our boy from Key West, Fisher Stevens played. He kind of modeled his character in Short Circuit after Peter Sellers in The Party. The Party. Look that up, y'all. That's a wild movie. Peter Sellers plays a Middle Eastern guy coming to Hollywood to try to make it as an actor, and it's wild. Anyways, he was, Peter Sellers, Dudley Moore. He did the one movie with John Ritter. Sounds like he really liked his guys, and it sounds like he was really hurt that Dudley Moore didn't want to do this movie.
Yeah.
Who knows? To me, this is not like the theater people like Blake Edwards.
Right.
He's an actor. He does. His scripts are great. They're just very oh my God, this people get a midlife crisis. His movies are like midlife crisis city all over them.
Every single one of them. Yeah, but I do like his dialogue, like when Alex, his wife, is breaking up with him and she's like, this is not a discussion, it's a dialogue or something like that. Like the dialogue in this movie is really good, and I can totally see why actors would want to do it. Actually, you know what? I take it back. What I loved the most was John Ritter's character, Zach Hutton. His sparring, his back and forth with Sparky at the party is actually one of my favorite scenes. I wish Sparky was in it more. Like he's kind of,
he's in it twice. Or once.
Yeah, once,
really,
and then once at his own funeral. But like that is probably my favorite scene in the movie. And Sparky is played by Peter Donat, and it's kind of like Sparky is Zach Hutton's publisher, and and Zach Hutton is this down and out writer who hasn't written in a long time, and Sparky's basically lays into him at this party. But anyways, that scene, Zach, dialogue wise, is just on fire beginning to end. It's kind of like, I always tell people, Glengarry Glen Ross, watch that movie High. If you watch a movie like an action movie or sci-fi movie, something really fast-paced, high, you're like, oh my God, it's so crazy, it's so much fun. Stuff like Glengarry Glen Ross, you watch it High, it's just as exciting as an action movie. And I say that the words are technically the bullets in that movie. And this one scene in Skin Deep, the one with Sparky at the dinner party, it's kind of is on that level. And I don't think any other scene really fires on this level in the movie. But I love it. I absolutely fucking love it.
Yeah. And David Mamet with Glenn Ross is like, he does action when it's action drama almost with his words. Yeah. I agree with you. That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
Totally agree. And that actor, Peter Donat, is you guys all would recognize him. He's very well known. He was on X-Files for the longest time and a lot of like big movies like China Syndrome and The Game. Yeah, I agree. And I will add a little caveat to people who are like, no, he doesn't hate women. I don't think he hates women, but like he looks at men being like so self-loathing and wanting to, like, they can only be saved by a woman. And it's like the women are abused not in a physical sense, but like in a used sense. Like they're not, like, I think he values women, but it's like their job is to help us be better.
Their job is
versions
to
of ourselves.
rescue us, basically.
Yes. And I'm like, I'm not into that. Like, cause that's not fair to the women, like all his women, like they're all seen as like, like you said, like he says this, he loves women and he loves all women. But like his
little tight boy girls.
Yeah. Like it's funny stuff. But then you're like, but the way he views a middle-aged woman, oh, that's the one that's supposed to help you settle down with your life. I'm not saying it's not true, but what I'm saying is like the way he kind of frames it, they're like, is this making any sense? Like, I feel like he doesn't.
He's a man of his time, and I totally, I know what you mean.
Outdated a way of looking at women. Like he doesn't look at them on the same level as a man.
Right. Yes. 100%. Absolutely 100%. But, this movie does have a fantastic collection of actors, both men and women. But yeah, you want to get through because we actually have kind of a lot of people to talk about here.
Yeah. Yeah. This is an ensemble cast.
Everyone does great.
Yeah. Even like walk-on roles of people. You go, oh wow, I didn't recognize that. I didn't realize that person was in it. Vincent Gardenia plays the bartender Barney in this.
I love him.
I mean, he's iconic, from Little Shop of Horrors and Moonstruck and Death Wish. Just like already, that's 3 roles, that I just, or 3 movies I just named that were pretty big, that were a pretty big deal. He's a classically trained actor.
Yeah. Just
one of those iconic supporting actors.
Yeah.
Allison Reed plays his ex-wife. Well, current wife, ex-wife.
Yeah, it depends on what part of the movie you're looking at it through. But yeah, she's still working today. Like she was like in Ad Astra with Brad Pitt and everything. Like she's been around for a long time. High School Musical.
Yeah, I think I remember her from being in a chorus line. I think she has Bob Fosse's a chorus line. I think Richard Attenborough directed that. That's wild. With Michael Douglas, though, I feel like she's like his wife in that, or she's one of the main characters in a chorus line. That's where I remember her from. She reminds me a little bit of like an older version of Cynthia Rhodes. Cynthia Rhodes was in Runaway and Staying Alive and Dirty Dancing. Like the older, intelligent blonde, like the smart one in the movie, which was what she plays. Joel Brooks plays his best buddy Jake. He's hilarious.
I love him. Yeah, he's like his lawyer / friend and everything. I think he's fantastic. He's one of my favorite characters in the movie.
Oh yeah, he's so good. He's been in tons of things, but Stir Crazy I think is one of his more well-known movies. But Indecent Proposal, yeah, he's one of those guys. He reminds me of. What's his face in The Thing? He who gets shot in the head.
Oh yeah. He's head of the SAG, or he used to be head of the Screen Actors Guild.
Yeah, Richard Mazer.
Yeah, Richard Mazer. Yeah, for me he will always be the dad in The Boogeyman Man.
Oh yeah, and the dad in License to Drive.
Yeah,
but like they have that look, the best friend always has the mustache with the receding hairline. That's always the best friend. Yeah, he's great. Julianne Phillips probably one of the more least likable of the characters.
Yeah, Molly, the character of Molly. Yeah, I mean, well, we only see her obviously through Zach Hutton's point of view, but I'm sure her character's probably like, fuck that Zach Hutton, you know what I mean? But yeah, she's not one of the more likable ones, but I think everyone probably knows her from Fletch Lives.
Yeah, and being married to Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, is that... Was she in one of his videos or something back in the day?
Yeah, I think so. So.
Okay. Because it's so funny because, like, I recognized the hell out of her, and I didn't watch Fletch Lives that much. And then I look at her filmography, and I'm like, I haven't really seen a lot of the stuff she's been in, but for some reason, I fucking recognize the hell out of her.
Yeah, it really bugged me, like, when they replaced... they wrote off the girlfriend from the first Fletch movie, and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to like this one because she kind of has like a Southern Belle accent because it takes place in New Orleans or something, right? And something like that. And I don't know. I so wanted to love Fletch Lives, and I did not. Chelsea Field is in this. We actually talked to Chelsea about this movie and the iconic condom, glow-in-the-dark condom scene that she was a part of way back when, going to the archives of Pad and $2 late fee. She's great. Denise Crosby is in this. I think Star Trek is where most people remember her from.
Yeah, Tasha Yar on TNG. But of course, she's also the wife in Pet Sematary, which I actually just finished reading the book on the flight back from your party and everything. And it makes me want to rewatch the movie because I haven't seen it since I was a kid. It scared the hell out of me. But I always liked Denise Crosby, and I was never quite sure if she was related to Bing. And I looked it up for this episode, and yeah, she's the granddaughter of Bing Crosby.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she's in this movie sort of quickly, but it's kind of a pivotal moment at the beginning of the film, and she's actually a lot of fun in the small amount of time that she's in this.
Yeah, she's great. Like for her cameo, because I would consider that a cameo. Like I think people knew what she, Bing Crosby's kid. That means Bing Crosby probably abused her physically, because wasn't he like a...
Well, it was his granddaughter, so probably not, because it's always... They tend to always treat the grandkids,
True.
Yeah. But I think he was kind of a physically, like, abusive, not sexually, I think, to his kids.
Yeah, physically, not... Yes. Yeah. I want to clarify that.
Yeah, we should clarify when we mention abusive,
True. Brian Hennessy has a small role in this, small yet big, if you know what I mean, as Rick. That guy...
I love Rick. I mean, all right, again, let's take it back, because he does physically abuse Chelsea Field's character. And it's so weird because it's funny, you see all of that physical abuse off camera, so you sort of know it and you can technically hear it, but then when you see him, weirdly, his character is super charming and funny, and I kind of love him. And then I have to remind myself, and I love the character, but then I have to remind myself that he just, basically laid hands on Chelsea Field, and it's like, fuck, that, that sucks. But him as an actor, I liked him as he's like a rock and roll. He's like, the lead guitarist for Bloody Moon or whatever the hell the band is, Blue Moon Band. It's supposed to be a British hair metal band or whatever. But yeah, what's the actor been in before?
I mean, I think he was mostly a soap star.
Okay.
But in a lot of straight to video movies. He was on a show called Street Justice, which was really cool. I'm sure we'll bring that up to the, TV Obscura down the road. Yeah, when you look at his IMDb and you're like, oh, his top movies are Bad Guy, Cold Harvest, Operation Delta Force Part 3. You're like, ooh. Yeah. But that being said, he's really good in everything he's in. He was on The Bold and the Beautiful, though, and I think that's one of his, obviously if you're a soap star, you get a long run on those shows. So I think he's really fun.
I think he's fun. When he gets when she kicks him out of the room, he's like, all right. His voice gets all high pitched.
He's hilarious. His character is funny. Like, you have to separate yourself. This was 1989, so even though I'm sure Harvey Weinstein really liked this movie.
Right? Yeah. Probably his template to life.
Right. Ray Hollett. She plays Lonnie. She's the bodybuilder. Most people know her as Zap from American Gladiators.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny because, like, it's, you see she gets naked in bed from behind with John Ritter, and like, you know, you see her breasts from the side, and at one point she's like bending forward to get in bed. You're like, I'm gonna see her butthole, and I'm like, they can't use a body double for her at all. Like, that has to be her, because nobody else has a body like she does. I mean, she is a fitness, and you know, she's built and everything. She's a muscle, you know, a weightlifter, you know, a bodybuilder and everything like that. Zach, like, I mean, I'm sure she probably, I guess in a way, probably, I'm guessing, loved it, because we don't see female bodybuilders sort of getting this level of sensuality in films, like roles that are this sensual in films. And she has a couple scenes outside of it where she's kind of sweet on, you know, Zach, and they have like this little bit of friendship. He kind of becomes friends with all of his exes a little bit. But she's not the best actor, but she's also not the worst. Like, she's also not terrible either.
No, she's good. She's good. And I mean, she creates one of the more iconic moments in the movie when he's got to join the aerobics class in his tidy whities, which is hilarious. And yeah, no, she's great. And I agree with you. Like, she's got a body like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but it's more to the point of the character. He loves all women. So, you know, he loves her, regardless of how some people might look at that and go, oh, I don't find that attractive, but he does. And she's very funny. Like, I don't feel like her character is demeaned in any way.
No, I think Blake Edwards probably too scared to even write it that way. And it makes you wonder if she was always intended, or if, like, I guess not McLish, she probably wouldn't have done it, because she was up for Vasquez in Aliens, but I think she's like super Christian and said didn't want to say any of the cuss words. So I imagine she, you know, wouldn't have wanted to do this role. But it does make you wonder, did he write the character once he got her as the actor to sign on, or were they always looking for a muscular woman to do this scene with?
Yeah, like if you flip the script, what is that movie with that John Cena was in with the safe word?
Yeah.
With the comedian, the female comedian. I feel like they kind of flipped it where she's going out and sleeping with a bunch of dudes and whatever. Like this, if they flipped the script on this movie and it was a female doing all these things to a man, it would be John Cena playing that role.
Right. Yeah. They'd have to have him there, like somebody like him. Right. Yeah. And it's funny because I actually was really interested in like the behind the scenes on this. The Blu-ray has absolutely nothing. It's one of those Blu-rays where it just says the trailer. And I was like, okay, I'll go check out Wikipedia. Wikipedia has like nothing on this movie, because there's also like this very obvious parts where they do reshoots and pickups because John Ritter has a fake beard on, and it's so obvious.
It looks like it's going to come off.
It does. And it's like, okay, what's the story behind these pickup shots and everything like that? And there's nothing out there that I could really find. And I was surprised. I figured this movie would have something on it.
Yeah, my guess is that they needed to make it more comedic, or maybe make him a little more sympathetic. Because maybe he was coming off too much of an asshole, alcoholic sex abuser, which is like what he is, you know?
Yeah.
Side note, Cheryl Lee Ralph has a small little cameo. She plays the receptionist to the soon-to-be Electro scene.
Yeah.
And she's on Abbott Elementary. You totally would recognize her.
I know she is. Yeah.
Yeah, she's been in like so many things. But anyways, I wanted to point that out because I saw her and I'm just like, oh yeah, I know her. Where do I know her from? Yeah. So I mean, and there are other little people here and there that pop up, but those are really the core. Chelsea Field literally has 2 scenes in the movie, and they're really funny. She's semi-retired now as a mom. She's married to Scott Bakula.
Yeah,
and but she every time she has like small roles and things, she always stands out, and she stands out in this. She's really funny.
Yeah, I mean, I picked up that crazy $100 special edition umbrella release of Dust Devil, and obviously she's in that with Richard Stanley, although that movie was kind of a train wreck in production, and I think we barely talked to her about that. I've seen other interviews. I don't think she has too many nice things to say about that movie, although I do love that film. I do want to call out, Zach, one person that's actually she's uncredited, but Brenda Strong plays the real estate agent that he crashes his car into while he's checking her out on the street.
Right.
I always know her as the Braless Wonder from Seinfeld. She was in a few episodes of Seinfeld as Elaine's like bombshell friend that Elaine sort of hated, like love-hated type of thing. But she's also the ship commander in Starship Troopers. She's the one that says, someone made a mistake. Someone made a big goddamn mistake when they're like attacking Clendathu, and she gets cut in half by the door, the emergency door, or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, Brenda Strong, I always love her. I've always had kind of a crush on her. And it's funny because there's two scenes in this movie where it's like one take where John Ritter's driving his car and he's like in the frame, and then he goes out of frame and it gets into an accident, and then the camera just quickly goes over, and it's like, how did they do it? Because there's no way he could have gone around what he crashes into. I think they just popped the hood of the Mercedes and then put some smoke in there or something, but it's two really well done crash scenes that are one takes. And a lot of this movie has a lot of one take scenes, which kind of gives this air of it could be done on a stage. It almost has like a stage play vibe to it,
which makes sense because Blake Edwards is accustomed to that. Also reminded me too, is that the scene when he has to go before a judge and and he gets either 30 days in jail or a $500 fine. To be a white man in Los Angeles,
driving drunk. That's right.
Driving drunk and almost killing somebody.
All right, well, let's roll the trailer and get into our general discussion.
I don't know what to say.
Oh, but the Lord is my shepherd.
Meet Zak Hutton.
Darling?
After 10 years of marital bliss, his luck is about to run out.
Come on, Angie, for God's sake. Oh.
He's been thrown out, and he's about to discover that being single can be dangerous.
I've worked 5 years to build this body. And for one night, it's all yours. How do you feel about that?
Like Mrs. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
So I'm guessing a lot of our listeners have not seen this movie yet, and I highly recommend everyone does. The Blu-rays, it's a cheap Blu-ray you can easily get, but I'm sure you can also find it on Prime and Tubi and all that kind of stuff. But I do have a little bit of a synopsis. It's a little bit longer than usual, but I think it'll catch people up on some of the beats and everything. So Zak Hutton is a successful author with a weakness for alcohol and beautiful women. His life takes a dramatic turn when his mistress Angie catches him cheating on her with her hairdresser. As Angie's about to shoot Zak with his own revolver, Zak's wife, Alex, walks in on them. As the marriage crumbles, Zak embarks on a self-destructive journey marked by binge drinking and seeking solace in a string of women. The sexual escapades lead him to multiple car crashes, having his new home burned down, aggressive electroshock beauty therapy, a wild night with an American Gladiator, and a glow-in-the-dark condom battle with Tila's rock and roll boyfriend. After disrupting his ex-wife's wedding, Zak confronts the realization that his lifestyle has spiraled out of control. Motivated to change, he sobers up, refrains from womanizing, and rediscovers his passion for writing. Against all odds, he achieves the trifecta of recovery, ultimately winning back Alex's love and proving her initial doubts about his transformation wrong. So, Zach, I do want to start at the very beginning. I love the opening scene for this movie. First off, you got some little credits rolling. Falling Out of Love is playing. It's fantastic. But yeah, Denise Crosby, Angie's coming home, you think, and she finds Zak cheating on her with her hairdresser. She tries to kill him. Like, if he didn't have the first shot in his revolver empty, she would have shot him right then and there. So you think that that's his wife. They're wrestling. But then Zak's wife comes home, and you find out that Angie's actually his mistress. And it's like, and then it tells you everything you need to know right away. It's just how tangled this character's life is.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's all really funny. It's, it's sexy in the beginning because you're like, oh, well, what's going on here? And it gets progressively more and more wild. And you're like, wow, this guy is a piece of work. But it's John Ritter, so there's like something lovable about him too.
Of course. And then Falling Out of Love, it's such an emotional song, but it's so perfect for this movie. You would think that it was written for this movie. But you say it wasn't, but it works so well to play over this entire opening scene.
Yeah. And, like I said in the beginning of the episode, that album has more than one song that was used for a movie. So his music like translates really well to screen. And it kind of is a bait and switch because you're like, oh, is this like a romance? Like it feels like it's just a straight up romance. But then it gets really dark at that point. So yeah. I mean, look, Denise Crosby's character tries to kill him. Julianne Phillips' character tries to kill him. Burn the house down.
When he's playing piano and she just like pours the gasoline light, the lighter fluid on the piano while he keeps playing it. He keeps playing it as he watches the piano go up. By the way, can John Ritter really play the piano? Because his character does a lot in this movie.
I don't know, but he's a stage actor too. He's done stage stuff too. So
true.
I wouldn't be surprised. But if you think about like Blake Edwards' humor, is he has it that's the style of his humor where he has a guy being the straight man and all the destruction's happening around it. Like think of Peter Sellers as Inspector Clouseau in the Pink Panther, walking down a hallway and then some guy out of nowhere just behind him tries to get him with a knife but falls and kills himself accidentally. Like he has these characters continue to move forward while the chaos ensues around them. And it's kind of what John Ritter's character Zak does through this whole movie.
Yeah, and I think like Blake Edwards' writing and his editing, is very precise. Like, this scene right here where him and Molly, they meet John, Zak. I was gonna say John Ritter,
Chad Johnson,
Jack Tripper, but like. He's playing this beautiful song for her in the first part of the scene. And that time is going to pass when it jumps and then she's all pissed off and he's playing a different song, but the scene is still set up the same. And it's just a very, again, I think his writing, it's very precise how Blake Edwards portrays a passage of time in their relationship. And I'm never quite sure how much time has passed since Zak breaks up with Alex, or technically Alex breaks up with him, and by the time they get back together at the end, it could be 6 months, it could be a few years, because his stepson also seems to be going through some life changes as well, so we're never quite sure. And again, like his relationship with Molly, we don't know even how long it goes on for, but it's bookended by him playing the piano, and it's like technically it's a scene. It's two separate scenes, two different pieces of time, but a scene as a whole is only like 2.5 minutes long. You know what I mean? But we have no idea how much time that actually covers.
Yeah, I honestly kind of wish they had maybe at some point he shaved his facial hair or like shaved completely off, or maybe just had a mustache or something to show a jump in time, because he has this beautiful full beard the whole movie. And you're like, oh, but it just feels like yesterday, And there are some like really disjointed moments that are really funny. Like, for example, he's trying to get himself sober, so he locks himself in his bungalow in which I'm assuming is like, the Sunset, not the Beverly Hills Hotel kind of vibe. And he's wrapped himself in toilet paper to keep himself warm.
And he's screaming as Barney's trying to give him a B12 shot and everything.
Yeah, and he's like graffitied the walls. It's all really silly stuff. In 2026, it feels like cringy because we know like how skeezy people can be. But in this context, it's hilarious. And it is like one wacky vignette after another. And the wacky vignettes are great. It's the dialogue at times when I'm like, it kind of pulls me out of it, because I like seeing the wacky, funny stuff. But the minute you're trying to have like sympathy for him. I'm like, I don't really have sympathy for this guy because he's literally has everything going on in his life in a good way.
And he's the self-destructive part of it.
Yes.
Like all you have to do is keep your dick in your pants and you'd have like this perfect life. But even his ex-wife, Alex, says that she throws out, his typewriter because she's like, it represents everything that could have been. Like, this is, and then that's a part of the journey is him getting sober and also getting back to writing. But I do want to roll back to what you just said. This movie is kind of a series of vignettes, and they're like bookended or chaptered in throughout the movie. Is sort of two aspects of the film is either Zach talking to the bartender Barney, who's kind of like one version of his therapist.
Yeah.
And then he's actually talking to his therapist. And that's kind of like the progression of the character is through those lenses. Those kind of like mark the chapter points in his life. But in between that is more of a vignette, like you said, kind of like moment to moment to moment. Either it's a dinner party that he attends, that like we mentioned earlier that Sparky's throwing, that his ex-wife wasn't supposed to be there, but there's, the dialogue in that scene again I think is just peak dialogue in this movie is with Sparky. But then like one vignette will be super fucking funny, like the electroshock therapy, which we'll talk about in a second, or the glow in the dark dildo one, or the him trying to sober up, and I guess he's got like the DTs right there. Is that's all what that is when he's screaming and everything?
I wouldn't know, but I'm assuming yes.
Zach would not know, but yeah, the movie is very much a vignette film.
It is. It's a shame that the Sparky character is literally only in 2 scenes, and you're supposed to have like. He has a tremendous amount of sadness for that character when he finds out he's died, but he's only in 1 scene prior to that. So it doesn't, for me, it pulls, I don't get the connection that you're supposed to feel because you're like, he's so emotional about it.
And I like what the emotions that John Ritter is doing. It informs us as the viewer that he cares about Sparky, but we as a viewer, I'm 100% agreeing with what you're saying.
Yeah.
We as a viewer don't have that connection.
Yeah, which is a shame because it is a shame. But I also think that, up until that point, we are Zach's character is like, he literally cannot, every single woman he sees, he wants to have sex with, every single one. And just knowing what like sex addicts are like, where you're like, oh yeah, he clearly is. And he's got like, he literally can do no wrong. Every time he walks up to a woman, they're instantly charmed by him.
I know they're in love with him. Probably the only one that doesn't love him is that model at the Shape party where his friend Jake kind of fucks up and tells him it's a costume party, but it's not. He dresses up as Aladdin at this like swanky party. It's a funny scene because Jake's wife laughs her ass off at him because you could kind of tell she probably kind of hates him. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But she has to like put up with Zach Hutton because he's a client and also her husband's friend. But the fact that he shows up at this swanky party to try to impress this model girl that he saw dressed as Aladdin, and everyone just laughs their asses off of him. And there's a scene where he just pounds like 14 champagne flutes in a row.
It's a really funny scene because at one point he's like he's rubbing the lamp. Because when he shows and he's like, get me the fuck out of here, And
then he turns around and walks into the wall.
It's so funny. It's so funny. And again, this is like John Ritter. This is all the stuff we love to see with John Ritter, And if the character wasn't so I think like, because these moments are so great, and then we go back to him kind of just being like, oh, I just love women, and I'm really sorry, and he wants to get back with his ex-wife, and his ex-wife has kids, which are his stepkids. And they're basically like, fuck you to him, which is really funny because their interaction's really great. But, like on paper, you're not supposed to like this guy. But it's, again, I'll go back to this. I've said it countless times in this episode, but it's John Ritter, so you love him.
And the movie, I mean, it doesn't make him flawless. Like Zach Hutton,
no.
he fucks up a lot in this movie at his own expense. You know, his house gets burned down. Everyone at the party literally laughs at him. So it's not like he's always like, oh, I'm the shit. I mean, he is like, he's embarrassed. Like his character does get embarrassed. His character does try to get the fuck out of there, but they can't, type of thing. So, you know, and with Lonnie, you know, when he has sex with Zap, you know, from American Gladiators, you know, so her apartment where she lives is like this it's like a studio in the back of an aerobics area, like an aerobics class area. And so first off, Zach, what do you think of her apartment as general? Like we talk in our show, in our podcast, about some awesome, you know, movie apartments that we see in these films, especially in the 80s. There's always some interesting stuff. What do you think about hers in the back of an aerobics class area?
I look at aerobics places the same way I look at the same way I look at Death Spa with the carpet in the workout area.
With the carpet,
I'm like,
yeah.
all it is sweat and pubes on the ground, and that thing probably rarely gets vacuumed extensively or cleaned. So it's a fitness class, and her place, like nowadays, this is the place you'd be like, yeah, can we go to your place and hang out? Because my place is in the back of an aerobics place, and it's just a room with a bathroom. It's kind of, I kind of want to like it, but I kind of don't like it because I'm like, oh, it's kind of gross probably.
What also doesn't help that it's decorated in monochrome, like black, gray, and white. And I'm like, this is 1989. Like, give us some like color or something. Give us some fun, like. But maybe that was supposed to represent her. You know, maybe that was supposed to be a little like swanky, even though it's in the back. And I think he even mentions like, you know, having like the two sides of every person or whatever. Yeah, it's not one of my favorite of our movie apartments that we've seen.
No, middle-aged 80s is not a good look. You got to go teenager in the 80s. That's the good look. Middle-aged 80s, because he's a middle-aged dude. Like, and when I say middle-aged, I think he's supposed to be in his 30s.
No, I think he's the one. I think he's like 42 somewhere. Like
Okay.
so early, but yeah, like say early
makes
40s,
sense.
late 30s. Yeah.
This is like, it's kind of drab. It's a little drab throughout. The colors
Yeah.
don't pop as much as they should.
No, I agree with you. But the scene is funny where the next day he wakes up because
Well,
he gets startled awake.
I'm going to interrupt you by saying he gets ravaged by her because, you know, it's basically this
It's
muscle-bound babe who just destroys him. So it's to imply that he's just like, he's sore after a tremendous workout.
Yeah, of the night before. And then he walks out because he doesn't know what's happening. All he hears is like, you know, she got up early and she's leading a class. And then he walks out and slams the door and he tries to go back inside because he's in his underwear, just tidy whities. And he pulls the doorknob off, of course. But I love how his hair's all disheveled and everything. And of course, the class is nothing but women. And they're like, hey. And, you know, Lonnie's all laughing. So he just joins them. But you can also tell he's got a massive hangover. It's great physical comedy by John Ritter. Absolutely amazing.
Well, and the night before, it's implied that he's drunk.
Yeah.
So he only gets one sock off before he gets in the bed. And,
yeah.
and she's, going down on him. And he's like, can you get my other sock while you're down there?
Yeah, it's great. Oh, but Zach, let's talk about probably the biggest comedy set piece that everyone knows from this movie. Maybe even if you've never seen it, you might have heard of it. But the glow-in-the-dark condom scene is, I mean, it is everything you sort of think it's gonna be. And what I like about it is it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's just long enough to maintain its humor, but at the same time, it is absurd. And I think it also helps that what her boyfriend was named Rick or whatever, his voice is so unique. And maybe that's why he's doing that voice, because I don't think he is Australian or whatever.
I think he's American.
Yeah, but his voice is so unique, and it helps when the lights go out and it's John Ritter and him, and all you see is their glow-in-the-dark condoms. You can kind of keep track of who's who because of his voice.
You can. So, the scene leading up to it, it's like, it's really funny because John Ritter, because his house is burned down, he's staying in these. It feels like it's Beverly Hills Hotel. Like it is like bungalows and like long-term.
Yeah, like long-term situations.
Yeah,
for rich people.
Right, and she's Chelsea Field is like 25, So if you think about that now in context, you're like, you're just a kid practically, you know?
Yeah.
And that scene is hilarious because it's funny that like on IMDb, they're like, it's famous now because of it's on YouTube or something like that. And you're like, okay, there's so much more to this movie than that scene, but that scene is hilarious. And there was probably because I was a teenager, I didn't know what condoms were in the 80s. And it wasn't until like that movie Casual Sex came out with Leah Thompson and Victoria. What's her face from Saturday Night Live?
I have that Blu-ray because it has one of those VHS packages. I think Mill Creek or whoever put it out. That was another one Myra and I watched during COVID. Andrew Dice Clay is in it. Yeah,
Andrew Dice Clay. I remember that being like slightly below expectations because it's a comedy, but it's like a drama. It's more of a drama than it is. But that deals with like casual sex, condoms, and hey, you got to get a condom. And condoms were all like the rage in the mid to late 80s. So this comes out with, you know, the glow in the dark condoms. It's so funny because he has to, you know, use one of Rick's. It's a good thing they're the same size.
Right.
And they don't really like you don't really see him having sex with anybody in this movie, by the way. It's like very short. Like the longest scene is with him with Lonnie. Yeah. And that's it. So it's kind of tame if you think about it, but everything's implied.
Yeah. And there's not much nudity either. Even like, I almost feel like Lonnie's nudity was sort of
most
a
explicit.
mistake. It was probably the most explicit, but I don't think it was intended to be that way. It's just the way the shot was framed. She just happened to be the way she was. Even Chelsea Field like takes off her bra and like almost something comes out, but then they quickly turn out the lights. But this condom scene, talking about having sort of a stage vibe, it's all filmed in a master shot, like a wide master shot, and it's done on purpose. It works for what they're doing with the comedy. It just there's one time where they go to a close-up shot of Chelsea Field screaming, but that's it. Otherwise it's all filmed in like this master shot, framing the entire stage and everything. But yeah, it's funny. I think it's everything you think it's gonna be. It's also not as long as you probably think it's gonna be. It kind of doesn't overstay its welcome. I do love it, but Zach, I gotta say, my favorite scene in the entire movie is the electroshock therapy scene.
It's the best scene.
Hey everybody, Corey here. I just want to let you know that we'll be right back after these short messages. Hello there, Star Wars fans.
And fellow whiskey nerds.
Our podcast, Star Wars and Whiskey Pours, gives you a weekly shot of whiskey reviews.
Combined with hot takes from all things in a galaxy far, far away.
So if you need a little Boba Fett and Blantons in your life,
or some Jedi and Jameson, then join me, Adam,
and me, Corey, on the Star Wars and Whiskey Pours podcast.
Found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all your favorite podcatchers.
May the whiskey be with you.
Hey everybody, I'm Tim.
And I'm Dean.
And we're the hosts of Talking Back. We're a retro-based podcast covering movies, comics, video games, and more.
Check us out every Monday where we hit the rewind button and dig into some of our favorite content from the past. We like to keep things fun, lighthearted, and informative.
Do you feel like you need more nostalgia in your life? Then check out Talking Back. We're available everywhere podcasts are found.
And now, back to the show. He follows a girl from his therapy session, same building. He follows this like model into another, office in the building. It's this place, new age, beauty therapy type of stuff. You get a wrap type of thing, a body wrap for your skin, but you also get electroshock therapy to loosen up your muscles. And of course, his ex-girlfriend, Molly, who seems to hate him the most. Out of all of his ex-girlfriends, she seems to hate him the most.
But she shows up at his party at the end and she still hates him. Like she's still there for him.
Yeah, for that reunion sort of at the end. So, he goes under the electroshock therapy. She's like, obviously it's one of those things where you're only supposed to go to like a 3, a 7 if you're like, you've done this for a while. So she cranks it up to an 11. There's your Spinal Tap reference. But the funny part is the scene after where he's walking out of the building trying to get to his car. And it's this one long take of John Ritter taking a couple steps. His body convulses. He never does like the same convulsion twice. He's hunching over. He's throwing his arms back. This is, I would say, as far as scenes go, this is like a John Ritter magnum opus of what he can do. He's running into people. There's a blind guy that he's like sort of humping because he can't control his body. And then I love the fact that he walks past his therapist, and there's this callback to the scene prior where he's having this moment with his therapist, where his therapist like ends the scene where he tells him about like, you know, it's in your nature, and you're gonna tell me to fuck off. And Zach doesn't tell him to fuck off when he leaves the scene, but when he walks past him here, he's like, fuck off, and like, you know, walks past him and
like
yells
he's got Tourette's almost.
But yeah, Zach, talk more about, you know, fucking John Ritter's like body, like, you know, his physical comedy here.
Oh my God. It's from knocking a person. He's coming downstairs and he knocks a person's papers out of her hands. And that's it. And then he grabs the blind guy's, stick, and he's like tugging on it. And then like you said, he hugs him. And then he starts like practically humping the guy, which leads him into driving sporadically down the road and getting into a car accident. That's when he gets his $500 fine, I believe, or 30 days in jail. I think it is.
No, that was his drunk driving after something else. Like, dude, he gets pulled over by the police so many times. And there's one scene where he drives drunk. Yeah. Again, he's not a character you're supposed to emulate. But
no,
but this scene does go on for a while. Like the humor also comes from the fact that, it doesn't just, he's still dealing with the electroshock therapy as he gets into his car, tries to pay the gate attendant, you know, just crashes through the gate because he, you know, and then he crashes into a bus.
Yeah, I would say this movie has 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, like, you know, big vignettes of Ritter, like top comedy overall with the whole scene, you know, from like the one scene of the condom scene, the playing the piano and setting the house getting set on fire scene, the workout post coitus scene, this electroshock therapy scene, and then the tsunami scene at the end. Those are like the beats, you know, that you have to, like, there's slow things in between those scenes, but then you get
the
to that
Aladdin
point.
scene, the Aladdin costume scene.
There you go. The Aladdin the costume scene is tremendous. Yeah, that's another one too. Totally agree. It feels like the tsunami scene is the final one where he realizes he has to clean his act up, and but it's because he got doused with water.
Yeah, and he's also like sort of in the moment asking, you know, for God to sort of give him a sign,
right,
type of thing, you know, and everything. You mentioned all of those scenes, and they're all fantastic. Which one is your favorite? I said mine was the electroshock therapy one. Which one's yours?
Probably that one too. That's because I think it goes on the longest. It's not just a beat and then you're done. Because the aerobic scene, it's like it shows him dancing around and then it cuts to the next scene. This one like continues. It just gets progressively worse as he gets down the stairs of this place. So.
And, you know, like the condom scene is funny, but you're not technically seeing anybody. The screen is completely black and you're only seeing their glow-in-the-dark condom. So you're not really technically seeing John Ritter. I'm sure he did it. You know, he was in it. But the electroshock therapy scene, and the fact that it's all one take as the camera just follows him through the parking lot is what's, I think, just absolutely hilarious. John Ritter never breaking character at all and just maintaining it throughout.
Yeah, the electrode scene is towards the end, and it's classic. And you think, oh, it can't get any worse. It does for him.
Yeah. And then there's like, I mean, guys and gals, there's actually a lot of scenes in this movie. There's a scene with his mother-in-law where he's trying to basically...
yeah, that's really funny too.
I know, where he's trying to reconnect with his wife, and his mother-in-law hates him. She's always hated him even before everything, but she's actually really good in this. The mother-in-law is funny, but she has this little yappy dog and everything. and that she's very concerned about. So he goes over to her house to try to, like, you know, soothe things over, you know, get her on his side. And he accidentally sits on, and you know, you think kills the dog. And he's like all trying to, like, oh my God, you know, trying to hide it and everything. And he eventually hides the dog in her suitcase because you find out later she's going to her daughter's marriage to Jonas Mallard, the duck. And I love Zach, like the whole scene plays out of him trying to hide this dead dog. And then in like one or two scenes later, he gets to the wedding up in Santa Barbara, his ex-wife, you know, he's trying to crash it, but there's a quick moment where he looks over at his ex-mother-in-law and she's holding the dog and he's like, oh, what? And the fact
dog
that there's
lives,
no,
by
like,
the way, dog lives.
Yeah, it's alive. It's like, so you start thinking about, like, what did she find him in the suitcase? Like, but it doesn't matter. It's John Ritter's reaction to seeing her holding the dog. He's like, what?
If you thought you killed someone's dog, someone that hates you, yeah. It's so.
But the fact that it's alive,
and he shoves it in her luggage bag, like he he doesn't stop to think that she's gonna eventually open that up down the road and realizes there are dead dogs in there.
And there's another micro scene, Zach, that I kind of like was like, this is wild. So he goes to kind of talk to Chelsea Field's character while her boyfriend's upstairs moving out. He goes in the bathroom and kind of to spray his mouth with Banaka. He sprays it in his left eye, and that's like a different like it's a different take. You know, they had to set it up and everything. It's in the bathroom. Then they come out when he's talking to Chelsea Field. All of his close-ups, like his eye is watering and it's red and he's like blinking, and I'm like how, like did John Ritter himself like spray his own eye just to do it? But like, how the fuck? It's like all irritated and everything. It's fucking hilarious and like completely unnecessary, but at the same time, amazing physical comedy happening.
Yeah, it's a short scene, but it's so priceless. I am realizing now there are a lot of scenes, a lot of vignettes actually. And then the one where he's trying to go cold turkey and wrapped himself in toilet paper because it keeps him warm. There's a random dog that's stuck to the ceiling of his bungalow.
Yeah, that he's stuck up there with like crazy glue or whatever.
That's just like looking down at Vincent Gardenia like
Yeah.
Barney. So random, but hilarious. And he's graffitied the inside of his place.
So Zach, I do want to ask you, of all the women that he's with in this movie, which one would you have liked to have been with if you could go back in time?
Oh, Chelsea Field.
Chelsea Field. Okay, yeah.
Huge
You wouldn't want to
crush
try Zap out? Give
Nope.
Zap a spin?
Nope. I don't want to be made less of a man or more of a man, depending on what happens there. Sure. I know what your answer is because you like your buff babes.
I do, but I think it would have been Brenda Strong. I do love me some Brenda Strong. But yeah, man, like let's like sort of the final talking point that I had here was his fake beard. I mean, never in my life have you been able to like so easily pick out the pickup shots and the reshoots from a movie? Like, I know other movies, they have to do it and they talk about, oh, you can see the person's wig or whatever. Yeah, sometimes it's pretty obvious, but this fake beard, it's so glaring.
Isn't this, he's talking to his ex-wife at that point, right? Like,
I mean, there's multiple times. I mean, there's scenes where like different parts of that scene has his regular beard. And by the way, John Ritter's beard was fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, and this fake beard is just, but yeah, there'll be, and it seems to happen a lot more later half of the movie, like through the second half of the film, they pop up a bit more. So I think to your point, it's probably to make his character a bit more likable then.
Yeah, because he's trying to redeem himself towards the end of the movie. Like, not very effectively, though, because he's, you know, it's not necessarily implied that he's an alcoholic. He actually becomes more of an alcoholic as the movie progresses. But that becomes the bigger crux of it, is like getting sober and implying that is what causes him to be more of a womanizer, which makes sense. But yeah, like that his fake beard at the end is very distracting.
It takes you out of it.
Yeah, and that's when the movie drags a little bit, because this movie's like an hour and 40 minutes. I feel like it's 5, maybe 10 minutes too long. I think, you know, I don't know. There's a way. I think there's a way to make this movie sound like David Irons. I think there's a way to do that. I think there's a way to do this film now without making him seem with making him still be likable. I think you could do that. I think it's possible, but they don't. And what you end up with at the end of the movie is he gets back with his ex-wife. She takes him back in a playful, like, red, white, and blue condom scene.
Yeah.
But it's because he's and the reason why she's taken him back, or one of the reasons that he kind of claims it, is that there was a woman at the party that wanted him, putting his hand on his leg.
It was his stepson's girlfriend.
Yes. Spoiler, stepson's girlfriend. And he turns her down. And so the wife takes him back because of that. Like, she doesn't get married to the dude she's supposed to get married to.
Mallard,
duck boy. So, and he's basically promising her the whole time. It's like, if I can turn my life around, I'll be the man you want me to be. And she takes him back. What does that say about her? Like, we've all been in relationships where it's like, it doesn't, the guy's like, I gotta fix, the woman or the man leave their partners because the person's self-destructive, right? But like, chances are he's gonna continue to do what he's doing.
Yeah,
because he's a writer. It's like he's gonna have his high lows, which is kind of implied too. Like, he has his highs, he's successful. When he has his lows, he's not. So.
Yeah, and you got to wonder too, like, well, he does mention that, he's been celibate for 6 months and everything. So there's this idea that at least there's been a time. It's not like, I think that's Blake Edwards trying to say that, like, it's not like I just have been celibate for like a week or something like that. Like, I think it's still him trying to imply that. But yeah, I don't have much faith that Zach Hutton is not going to revert back to his old ways.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to take a long... And it's from what we know nowadays, just sort of more, health idea. We know more about health and mental health and stuff like that now. And it's like, it's going to take a lot of work for him he's going to have to go to AA meetings and everything for him to do that. And yeah, if he can't get his next book out, will he fall back? Will he, kind of revert back? So
will he fall out of love? Will he fall out of...
I mean, and that's the thing, Zach, the song itself, and, and it kind of plays during the credits. And I'm like, it's almost informing you that this is not gonna work out at the end. I mean, it's a fun song, and it's the song, the movie song and everything, but the lyrics, you listen to it as it's playing after the credits, during the credits, you're like, oh, that's him. That's telling me that I think that this is sort of doomed for him and Alex.
Yeah, and I agree. It is interesting that I'm coming to the realization now that the other song that Ivan Neville has on the Rich Girl movie bookends that film as well. Again, it's a cover, but
it's still his song.
It's still his song, but it's interesting. That movie came out, I think, the same year, actually, 1989. The fact that
Ivan Neville just on fire then?
I think he was. Like, it was a really, really cool. Also, side note part two, this movie does have, like, it's got probably the most famous Kenny G song, Songbird, in a bar scene. So I've never heard a Kenny G song playing in a bar before. That is extremely cheeseball. It's so like older 70-year-old white man thinking this is popular, which it's so not. You would never hear Songbird in a bar, by the way. Never. If you do, I'll give you $5 if anyone's ever heard it played in a bar. Like, unintentionally, just happens to be at a jukebox, which is really funny. It's also got Dreamin' by Vanessa Williams, which was a pretty big hit of its time too. Again, in the bar. I'm like, what is this? What is this, like, middle-aged, not even over middle-aged, like, white man, slacks and dress shirt? This is playing in a bar? No. Wait, what is this? Vibrato in Beverly Hills? That's a real place, by the way, in the Valley. Vibrato. That's a jazz bar.
Oh boy.
And that makes total, yeah. Nowadays, it's like, I know none of the people I know who would go there are listening to this episode because we've been there. It's like middle-aged white guys with their, trophy wife, all plastic surgeryed up. That's what it is now in LA. Like,
yeah.
Total botched, like, facelift, nose job, whatever. And listening to jazz. Hey, having a good time. Eating like middle-aged white guy stuff. Spinach, cooked spinach, mashed potatoes, cream chipped beef. Like that's the thing, right?
Yeah, well,
and a salad.
Well, you mentioned middle-aged white guy stuff.
We are, by the way. So.
Well, yeah, we are. Yeah, especially.
But we don't eat that stuff.
No, but like he doesn't sleep with any other nationality other than white, and the only woman of color is in the receptionist. I wish he had hooked up with her. He does talk about how much he loves women of all shapes and sizes, but not of all colors.
Yeah, he doesn't mention Benetton. He doesn't go that route. He just
No, it's kind of like, damn, dude. Like it's definitely a white centric white man movie.
Yeah, so I think everyone who hasn't seen this yet will go into this movie probably laughing at that, like, oh my god, this is so of its time.
Yeah.
And the person who made it, you could tell they just, oh yeah, like this. Again, I go back to the Hal Needham thing because he's very much the same way. He's like he's in his zone. He knows what works for him. You know, and the minute we talked about it with Sam Bernard on the Rad episode, like Sam Bernard, who wrote Rad. Hal Needham had no clue about that part.
Like, what the hell is this stuff?
He wears his jumpsuits with his belt buckles that are made from the movies that he makes, and it's badass. But it's like he's in that single lane. Blake Edwards is in that single lane. The white guy about white guy problems. That is so 80s.
Yeah,
white guy problems.
Yeah, and all the problems are like self-induced. Like,
yes,
yeah,
it's rich white guy problems.
Yeah, no, I know, and nowadays I don't gravitate towards stuff like that. But you said it a million times at the beginning. If it wasn't for John Ritter, like I don't think this movie would have held up. But it's a great John Ritter movie.
It's so good. He is excellent in this. Everybody. I will say this about Blake Edwards movies. The acting is always top notch.
Yeah. And it's just, but yeah, I don't know if it doesn't necessarily hold up nowadays, but you can enjoy it for what it was. I think a lot of people who are going to watch it, they're just going to, just be like, it's very much a 1989 film, and getting to see John Ritter do some amazing John Ritter stuff. Again, the electroshock therapy scene, just unfucking real. It's just, man, love that dude. Fucking, because of our TV Obscura episode, like I bought the Hooperman two set DVD or 2-season DVDs. I watch them before I go to bed, and like he doesn't do a lot of physical comedy in that because that's it's like one of those weird dramedy shows, and it's only 30 minutes, and everything, technically 22 minutes. But again, he was a versatile actor. He really, really was, and he was always charming in everything. And a different actor playing Zach Hutton is a totally different movie. And I think any other actor, a lesser film, and that character would have been much more of a piece of shit.
Agreed.
I don't really have anything else left in my notes. Anything, you didn't. Okay. Any, final thoughts? Pretty much that. I recommend it. I do still love this movie, but you got to kind of go in to watch it as it's a 1989 white guy film, basically.
White guy movie.
White guy movie.
Yes.
What white guy movies are you covering on $2 late fee? Because you are a middle-aged white guy.
I'm a middle-aged white guy, so I'm covering white guy stuff. No, I have more diversity. We have more diversity in our shows than this movie has.
True
by
that.
far.
True that.
This has been, the summer months are wacky just because content-wise, it's all over the place. Territory Marks is on a little bit of a hiatus because of the amount of content I have on $2 late fee. So I've already recorded episodes with Paul, but it's coming back later on this summer. But Corey actually has been on almost all the episodes I'm dropping in July. It's,
oh, nice.
We've got
Great.
80s Kids Unite. That's a great sword and sorcery episode. We've teased it enough in previous episodes. It's going to be great. You're all going to love it. An interview with the composers for Deathstalker, the movie, Blitz Berlin, one of the composers.
Yeah.
That's coming up in July. I had a really cool interview with a writer named Eric Jacobus, who wrote a book about making action movies and like on the cheap and short form stuff, and really interesting dude. He actually is a motion capture actor for a lot of movies that Corey's probably familiar with. Mortal Kombat for one.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And he recreated like the Tekken stuff.
Cool. I love Tekken.
So the dude is like a big time action movie buff. That's all coming out in July. And that's it. No. And then more white guy stuff.
White guy stuff. Yeah, speaking of white guy, Zach and I are covering the filmography of Larry Cohen over on Patreon under the Cohen Factor.
White guy.
More white guy stuff everywhere. Although he did blaxploitation stuff at the beginning, which was
white guy with black stuff.
Wild. Absolutely wild. But I am glad we finally got a chance to cover Skin Deep. Yep, this movie's wild.
Me too, and I could tell you that we're never going to cover Blake Edwards on our Auteur de Force tier on Patreon. So consider signing up to patreon.com/podcastingafterdark so you don't get more Blake Edwards white guy stuff.
Exactly. Oh, man. All right, well, as always.
Hey, this is Ivan Neville. We'll catch you on the dark side.
Be sure to subscribe to Podcasting After Dark on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. You can support the show by joining our Patreon page, picking up a t-shirt from our merch store, or leaving us a 5-star review. Follow us on Instagram at Podcasting After Dark. All links can be found on our website at www.podcastingafterdark.com. And join us next time for another cult movie or TV show review with Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer.
Have you been wondering where's the beef? Well, on our podcast, Throwback Trivia Takedown, you might just find that out, as well as some other things about the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
We're a nostalgic-based trivia show that pits two challengers head-to-head in a duel of the decades, with categories ranging from movies, TV, and music, to slang, food, and fashion. You're sure to get the best in retro-themed trivia.
So strap on your jelly shoes, grab a surge, and walk like an Egyptian to your favorite podcast app and check out Throwback Trivia Takedown.
I heard even Mikey likes it.